It's good to be with you again. The only thing is, I wish I had the opportunity to see you as I'm speaking. As I've said to you before, I have so many wonderful memories of the people of Derbyshire and how much they meant to my family and me when we were in Richmond. Today, I want to talk about the ministry of perseverance. I realize that perseverance may not sound like the most exciting word to you, but perseverance is a word that speaks of a quality that each of us who is a servant leader, whether we are a minister, clergy, or whether we are a deacon, need to have in the exercise of our ministries. Sometimes we think if I just simply go to a person, talk to a person one time, that's all they need. When there are people in our churches, people in your groups as deacons, who need some continuing presence of you in their lives, oftentimes we back off of those things rather than realizing how much you and I are needed over a period of time in many people's lives. Let me talk for just a moment about a situation where perseverance is an asset, and that is ministering to the sick and to the dying. There are some people who have great difficulty in going to a hospital to visit somebody who is sick. Or there is somebody who has great difficulty in going to visit somebody who is dying. One of the things that you and I need to realize is that dying is a part of life. That dying is something that all of us will experience at one time or another. When I go to visit the hospital, I usually check with the nurse at the desk, ask about the condition of the patient, and ask how things are going, because that will give me a great clue to how much time I'm going to spend with that person. For example, if the nurse tells me that that person has been through a lot of tests that morning, or that person is very tired, I'm not going to go in and spend a great deal of time just giving them more fatigue. It's important when you and I walk into the room to visit somebody who is in the bed in the hospital, that we take a chair, we very carefully pull it up beside the bed, we pull it up to the side on which the patient is lying, and then we talk to them in their comfortable position. Visiting the hospital is also the time not to lather up with your favorite cologne or perfume. People who are in the hospital, all of their senses are accented. So if you and I were to walk into that room and we were smelling of our favorite cologne, that would be a disastrous thing for that patient. When we talk to the patient, we need to talk slowly. We need to have our Bible with us so that we can read, for example, a psalm of comfort to them like Psalm 23. We need to have a prayer with those people. We need to pray, not that they will become well, because you and I don't have control over that, but we pray for God's presence with them And we pray the same thing that we pray for all of ourselves, that God's will be done. One final thing I would add, and that is the gift of listening to somebody. Oftentimes, people who are in the hospital, especially people who are facing their own mortality, they need to share some things. And for somebody not to interrupt, but simply to listen, not just with ears, but to listen with our eyes and our faces and our presence. And then when we leave, we say to that person, I will be back to see you in a few days. I want you to know that in the time in between our visits, you are going to be on my mind, and you will be in the center of my prayers. To be an effective deacon takes compassion, care, and it takes perseverance.